Let me show you two different drops. So drop number one clearly had way more energy, and the reason for that is mid bass. By the way, I'm Chris from Culture Code. I make melodic bass music similar to Elenium and Seven Lions. I have over 300 million streams, over 600,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and I founded the Sound Horizon Academy to help my fellow EDM producers learn music production way faster than it took me. So I've been teaching melodic bass students one-on-one in lessons for over the past 2 years, and the amount of them that come to me because they've learned on YouTube that the power of a drop is all to do with the saw stacks is crazy. In reality, that is just not the case, and I'm here to prove that so that you never make that mistake again. Okay, so now that we know that mid basses are what create the power, what are they and how do we make them? So mid basses are essentially basses that live just above the sub and just below the chords. And in my experience of over 13 years of making music, it's all about the layering. You want it to feel like it's one big sound, and that comes from layering different sounds that have different characteristics. You don't want to layer the same thing on top of each other. By the way, I actually have a mid-bass template that will soon be available to buy, but if you're an SHA member, you can get it absolutely free with your membership right now. And these are just groups of mid-basses, just like you see in my track here, except I've pulled them directly from my Culture Code tracks so that they're available for you to drag and drop into your own projects. So I suggest that you drag it into your left-hand browser like this, open it up, you can come to audio and preview them, then open the project at the bottom and simply drag a group in. And just like that, you have mid-bass that's ready to go with all the processing still attached. Cool. Links in the description to the Academy. Back to the tutorial. So if we take a look at the mid-bass here, we've got a respace. Now that is honestly just, I opened Serum, turned the unison to 16, turned the detune down a tiny bit and put on a filter. And then I just did a bit of EQing. Took away the spot where the sub should be because our sub, again, lives underneath our mid bass. And here's the sub just for context. So then we have what I call an 80s bass, which is, this track has a very 80s nostalgic feel. So I wanted the basses to kind of feel like that as well. Now the reason I've called it an 80s bass is because 80s is, you know, like synthwave music has that kind of filtering down type bass. Which if you watch the filter here, now this is just a preset, I just found it on Splice, dragged it in, fit perfectly with the respace. Again, we're layering different characteristics. So then we have a gritty bass from Nexus, which has more of a vowel quality. Nothing like what we've had with these first two basses, so if we put them together. Barely noticeable, but it's just there giving us a bit of that vowel quality. And then we have one more gritty bass. This is a Serum preset called Bass 25. It's one of my favorite basses. So it's in a pack called Brighter Days. Now Brighter Days is a sample pack that is perfect for melodic bass. And it also happens that it comes with some cool presets just like this. Those all together sound like this. So here are some general things that you want to avoid when you're layering. As we spoke about earlier, do not choose the same kinds of sounds. You want to choose different sounds that have different characteristics, different width, different positions in the stereo field, different positions frequency-wise as well, that all come together and make one big thing. Again, just listening through these, they all... Every one of them is different, but they come together and they're really full. Don't choose sounds that have reverb and delay. Don't get me wrong, they sound really cool when you're in solo mode, but as soon as you're in the context of the track, they just muddy everything up because the frequency of mid basses is so low that you're not going to hear it in the track, but it's going to add to the mud of everything else in that frequency range. Don't remove all the energy with EQ. So if you look at this, what I kind of see a lot when I do my one-on-one lessons is, let's go to a better example like this one. I'll see mid basses that look like this because the general idea is, right, we're trying to do the mid range. However, what that does is removes all the energy. There's a lot of power that comes up in this frequency range that if you get rid of that, you're going to be trying to forever fill that frequency space back up with other sounds. And then we're kind of into overproducing again. So if we just look for all these EQs, you can see that I'm not cutting off too much high end. And then lastly, splice is your friend. If you're like me and you're not crazy on the whole sound design thing, I just want to let you know that that's completely fine and you're not alone. There's tons of successful artists that just use presets and tweak them to fit their track. That's exactly what I do. It's more common in melodic music to do that. Whereas in dubstep and stuff, you know, people's whole sounds are based on their sound design. Whereas in melodic music, it's more compositional and it's more putting sounds together that work. Don't get me wrong, if you love sound design and that's your thing, by all means, I just want to let you know that there's a bit of a stigma around people using presets, and it just doesn't need to be that way. Now, I just want to demonstrate and put this theory to bed that it's all to do with the source stacks. This is the source stacks. That doesn't carry as much power and energy as this, as I proved at the start. Again, if I take away the chords, but if I do it the other way around, keep the chords and get rid of the mid bass, so the point I'm trying to make with this video is that mid bass isn't more important than the chords, but it's just as important as the chords, where a lot of other information on YouTube will tell you it's all about the source stacks. So I just wanted to put that to bed so that you guys can make fuller tracks much quicker. Okay, so that's a video. If you want to grab the mid-bass templates to make all this so much easier and faster, all you've got to do is become a member of the SHA. You can come in here, then go to Classroom, come down, go to Templates, go to Drag and Drop Collection, and you've got mid-bass template right there. And you've also got source stacks template as well, which is the exact same thing, but for your chords. And coming very soon is the leads template as well, so that you'll have the whole everything you need to create a big, powerful melodic bass drop. So I hope to see you on the inside of the SHA. If you join, make sure you come and say hi to me. I'm always chatting with the members, and stay tuned for the next video.